Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of the Why So Blue podcast, or Why So Blue cast. We're going to be talking Civil War, mostly the comic book specifically and the tie-ins, but also in how it relates to the movie at large and things that they will do and might do and theories and hypotheses and all kinds of other ideas. We might also talk about a few other things, including Ghost in the Shell and all the controversy around that, and maybe a few other topics anybody can think of. So I'm Shohan.
I'm Wes.
I'm Gabriel.
James.
Jordan.
And we're going to get started talking some Civil War right now. So everybody, for the most part, has read the book. What's everybody's initial feelings on the book?
It's my favorite Marvel event.
I loved it.
Ever. Okay.
Actually, now that you say that, thinking back, it probably is my favorite Marvel event, too. I haven't read a ton of them, but that's definitely one that stands out, without a doubt.
There's a lot of pressure for the big events, and I feel like sometimes they fall short of the mark. Often they fall short of the mark. But Civil War really delivered on everything. I mean, the art was fantastic, the writing was fantastic, the plot was fantastic. It was a great book.
Yeah.
I'd say my least favorite event was probably Avengers versus X-Men. It just seems so forced.
What was the one they just finished? Secret Wars?
Yeah,
that was awful.
I didn't know.
Did they even finish
the main book was good.
I think so. Yeah, it was unfortunate.
But everything was
terrible. Drove me crazy. It's everything. Civil War was so. It was concise. It was
everything was rushed. All of the stories were 4 to 5 issue arcs, all the times, and there were a million of them.
Oh my goodness!
Are you talking Secret Wars? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
they did another Civil War in the Secret Wars, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a what if book for it was like an alternate ending for the regular Civil War event. So, something awful happens, and then the war continues indefinitely.
Old Man Logan 2 tie into that?
Also got its own book, yeah.
Was that any good?
Actually, it's really good. With Jeff Lemire's writing it right now.
Yeah,
right now, it was Bendis who wrote the Secret Wars one. Yeah.
Right. But Lemire's writing it right now, and it's really fantastic. As a matter of fact, there's a good Hulk scene. It's not Bruce, but it's
it's the bearded Hulk.
Yeah.
Korean Hulk.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's a different Hulk. Are you thinking of Amadeus Cho?
Yeah. In the new Old Man Logan. It was Amadeus. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Civil War, though, for listeners, is about the government deciding that superheroes need to be registered.
Yeah.
Basically, they didn't like the vigilante aspect of people just running around in masks, doing whatever they want. It was too much power, and
there was a catalyst. The book starts with some amateur superheroes
What are they called, the New Avengers?
No.
New Warriors.
New Warriors.
They're filming a reality show, and they find a villain hideout in the suburbs in Stamford, Connecticut,
across the street from a school.
Right.
And one of the villains uses his power to explode.
Nitro.
That was nice.
Directly next to a school bus, killing everybody in the area, and that is basically the point at which society as a whole has had enough of the superheroes doing their own thing.
Yeah, because it was these amateur kids that had no idea
way over their
powers.
No training or anything. And that's the big argument. It's one of the things I love about this book is you could look at both sides of the argument. They all have valid points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of how it's being handled, But that was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back for the government and the citizens. And so they decided to start regulating mutants and superheroes and training them, paying them a government salary with benefits.
Yeah, but it became divisive because for a lot of heroes, your identity needs to remain anonymous to keep yourself safe, people around you safe, your loved ones, and it's not so much a matter of you still want to do public service, you want to do good.
Yeah.
The other thing is at that point you're an employee of the government, and the government is basically deciding who the bad guys are at that point.
Right, and they can assign.
And Cap's argument is they need to be above that.
Yeah.
And
so what it is, it creates a division between the heroes which was a great aspect of the book, is it wasn't good guys versus bad guys, it was good guys versus good guys, where, Iron Man kind of led one side of the faction, Tony Stark, where he was saying, let's all register, let's do this is the right, smart thing to do. And Cap, which, this is one of my favorite parts about Civil War, was Cap was the one to stand against it, and he's the most patriotic Boy Scout of them all, and he was like, "Look, this is not right," you know,
because
the military.
Cap came from a time when there was government registering its citizens and then slaughtering them in camps.
Yeah.
I mean, there are clear similarities between
this. There's reason to be skeptical.
Yeah, Captain America is not against this just for no reason at all. He has very strong justifications for this, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, like I've never honestly been a huge Captain America fan, but in Civil War, I was so
you're rooting
happy
for him the whole time.
Absolutely.
Even when you're not sure, you're still going, but I'm with Cap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Millard does a great job of writing the book in that, sometimes you don't know who you stand with.
Yeah, it's a little gray.
It gets very
as you say,
gray.
like there's justifications on both sides of the coin.
Yeah. But he also writes a lot of the characters on Tony Stark's side as just kind of asses. I mean, they're not likable the way they're treating. They're all using slurs against the superheroes, and they're all a bunch of freaks and everything. And it's not like they're doing this nicely. So you could definitely see why Captain America and the other heroes have a problem with this. But
yeah, so to compare that to the movie, I don't think they're gonna do much of any of that. Like they're gonna touch on registration a little bit, but.
Well, they already have been. I mean, in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, it's been a big thing.
Really?
They've been,
I have not watched that.
Yeah. I'm not caught up on it, but in the episodes I've seen in the past, they were already discussing kind of registering super metahumans, superheroes. So.
Thank you. Let's keep that in the conversation.
Inhuman.
So I definitely think that's going to tie in. But it seems like the big justification for this is
Bucky.
Bucky. Yeah. They seem to want to take Bucky down, and I think Cap's sort of like, well,
that's my boy.
That's my
he's
buddy.
He's their nitro for the movie.
Yeah. He's the catalyst.
I feel like that's unfortunate because the beginning of Civil War, the book was amazing. It was powerful. It was
very powerful.
Yeah, and
that's what has you on the fence. You don't know who the right side is.
Yeah.
Right. So taking that away from the movie, I think that's kind of too bad. But they got to do what they got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be a different story.
Yeah.
It's like because it seems like the foundation is what happened in the first Avengers movie, what happened in the second Avengers movie, and stuff with Thor and Asgard.
Absolutely.
And they're all tying it together in the Sokovia Accords, I think it's called. And they're like, yeah, we got to do this. And they're showing Cap all this stuff, and I get the feeling there's going to be a scene where Cap is like, you know what, this makes sense. We need to get things under control. There needs to be accountability and things like that. And Tony's like, yeah, so you understand why the first thing we need to do is take down Bucky, who has, through history, killed some of the most important people in the world. And
while brainwashed.
Yeah.
Well, that's the big thing is, he was doing it, not of his own accord.
Exactly.
He was being forced to do these things.
And I think that's going to be the dynamic of
I agree.
This guy did all these horrible things, but against his will, so they're trying to figure out.
So how do you hold him accountable?
Exactly.
How does he maybe have a chance to atone?
Yeah.
And that's the big overlying theme with the whole Civil War thing is accountability.
Yeah.
How do you make these guys accountable? Because as it stands, they are not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that both in the book and hopefully in the movie as well. But you kind of get tired of like a kind of villain of the week sort of comic run.
Definitely.
And this is like looking at things under a much more analytical lens and like really breaking down like, yeah, we're all on the same side technically, but like we have different approaches to it. They just did this in Daredevil. We have, Punisher and Daredevil, and it's like, where do you draw that line? Everybody comes from different backgrounds. They have different opinions on these things, and it's good to like focus on that and then see how they butt heads,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was cool in Daredevil where it came down to where there was this like kind of hitman guy who's trying to quote redeem himself. So it's like, do you still kill somebody who's trying to get out of that life, who has killed innocent people like grandmas? Or what?
That's the difference between Daredevil and the Punisher.
Yeah,
the Daredevil, Matt Murdock, who is a Catholic lawyer, believes in second chances, absolutely, and thinks these guys deserve another shot. Meanwhile, the Punisher sees the pattern and just decides it's easier to get them off the street over,
And that not just easier, but more effective.
It's true.
Right, to end their life rather than give them the chance to end somebody else's again.
It's true.
Because they showed it in the friggin' show. Like, these guys go to prison, then they meet Wilson Fisk, and then they're employed with benefits.
That's true. They're worse when they come out of prison than when they go into prison.
Yeah.
They basically go to prison, learn the craft, and then come out and are worse than ever.
Yeah.
You have to admit that Frank Castlesway definitely solves that problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. You gotta hand him
Simple
that.
and effective.
Yeah, I mean, Murdoch's approach is pretty complicated, but
That's one thing. Punisher is in the Civil War book briefly for about 2 issues.
I'm trying to remember.
He basically shows up at a point where something significant had happened. Goliath was killed, who was a character, by a robot, like a cybernetic clone of Thor that Mr. Fantastic had thought up. And
to give a little backstory, in the fight against the rebels, Captain America and all those other folks, Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four came up with a great idea of creating a cybernetic replica of the God of Thunder with AI, and assumed that we could control this thing. And he ended up killing one of our, Hank Pym particle.
Yeah. He had the power to enlarge.
Right.
Yeah.
and that was really a tipping point. I mean, that's when things were out of control. It's
That was the point in the book where everybody who was on a side took a good hard look at it, and you noticed a lot of shifting.
Yeah. I mean, because at this point you literally have heroes killing heroes.
That was amazing.
To join up with the rebels.
Yeah, and it's interesting too to look at all these characters that you've known, trying to predict how are they going to react to this, where are they going to go, and you're rooting for some people, you're really disappointed. I liked that.
That was a lot of the fun of the book, was figuring out where your favorite heroes lie.
Time to bring up Spider-Man because my god,
Yeah.
that infuriated me in the book. Spider-Man, he joined Tony and he announced his identity. Spider-Man, the person who protects his secret identity or his real identity.
That was the argument.
That was the point. You hated it because it was the wrong decision.
Yeah,
but from Tony's perspective, it was the most divisive move to get people to choose his side because it protects his identity.
Right.
So
with good reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then we come back to the death of Goliath.
That was a great move, but
which brings me to a question I have for you guys. So the big tipping point in the book.
100%.
You think
I've
so?
heard all kinds of rumors and theories. I'm not certain on who's.
See, that would be my first thought. If they're going to kill off somebody, why wouldn't
you don't kill Bucky? For all of the heroes that die and come back.
He was dead for 60 years, though.
But he was never actually
not dead until 2004.
When Brubaker brought him back. Yeah.
But
that's true.
It wouldn't resonate. It would be like,
that's true.
That's unfortunate. What's the next movie?
But it's. I don't know if disposable is the right word, but his absence from the
moment.
And it would have a powerful effect on the movie too,
right.
Because he's the character and you have people against him. So if he dies, it's just gonna up everybody's result.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all.
That's the thing, nobody would mind.
Right? Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess
Clint Barton.
I think
I like the comic Clint, but in the movies, it's really fallen flat. I mean, they even
and
addressed it.
They joked about him not being worthless on the team. It'd be like, hey, where's that guy who does that thing?
Does he have some fast?
They're gonna introduce in the movie and then kill off, which seems like it would take away from the effectiveness of how many characters they've established.
Yeah, not to sound jaded, but I hope they do kill somebody. Like you say, and it would help the plot. I think.
I think it'll either be Cap.
They won't kill him.
Right.
And then he came right back.
It was like a year later. He stayed dead for as long.
Maybe I hope they kill Bucky because I feel like they can get away with not bringing him back again. Of the death
too big of a property.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Marvel wouldn't sacrifice that chip. Like it's just
it's Captain America,
which is Infinity War. I don't think there's gonna be another Avengers before that.
Right. That crossed my mind. I would say it's going to be one of the ancillary characters like Black Widow.
That's a bad marketing move.
That is a bad move, yeah.
How about Spidey? We saw awesome is that he's what's he's a Sony property, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now he's being
Yeah,
I mean, just
Oh man. The X-Men are literally like, to see them go this way, I just feel like my kid was taken from me, and they're being raised by these. Visit them sometimes, and it's just weird and stupid. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll see you in a year. Oh, look, he's and the effects look crappier somehow. Like they have more money, yet
be their opening night, but
yeah.
well,
they gotta pull something out of their ass for that thing.
that's why you feel like it's the Hunger Games.
Yeah,
That just made for easy acting. All he had to do was stand on his.
Everything around him is just wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Well, coming back to Civil War, at this point, he's brand new to this universe.
Yeah, it wouldn't play the same.
You can't have the kid who we were talking about.
Moviegoers as a whole are quite familiar with Spider-Man.
Oh, yes.
So theoretically, they could.
He's gonna go Cap. Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because in the trailer, Tony calls him.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Again, just the fact that he's in the movie at all, like I'm pretty thrilled about that. But yeah, I think he'll start
For Cap to state his case.
I agree.
Like from some of the things that he's done, like pulls out a pistol, tries to shoot Tony, and I'm sure there are other moments where he tries to murder people.
He doesn't get to just be Tony Stark, like
Covert
public
agent who had the last 60 years of his life.
looks incredible.
He
The
does.
outfit looks amazing.
That's pretty perfect.
He's outrunning Cap in that garage scene. Like
The death of Goliath is that turning point where he says, Goliath was a friend. I will gladly come and join the fight.
Mm.
yeah,
And that's the only reason he's on Iron Man's side.
Try not to be too obvious, but well, his dad. He's basically, I'll be on your team.
Private contractor.
Yeah.
Like Namor or Aquaman in the
Yeah.
DC universe. He showed.
You guys are corrupt as hell. I'm gonna have to shut you down. So.
But you
or tie-ins, just because it makes money pretty easy.
Yep.
So it doesn't always come off.
I know nothing of Black Panther. I know he is from Wakanda. I know only what I've seen in
I
the.
guess you kind of do need a working knowledge of the character, but I
So
love
this
the rest
isn't
of
an
the
origin story?
Not
No.
When a new writer comes onto a book, they always, drop everything, retcon it,
Yeah.
do my I am. It's ridiculous. Like, I didn't know it
For
was
the
possible,
listeners,
and
that's
here we
saying
are.
a lot.
I don't know. It's an interesting character because he's not only a superhero and he has superpowers, but he's ahead of.
Because I don't think you can do an origin story now. They're probably gonna sprinkle his
That's the
origin
thing.
in Civil War.
I really would.
Maybe they'll brush upon it in some brief flashbacks.
They have to. I mean, they
and
can't
stuff,
just
Like
yeah.
Deadpool style, maybe.
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Yeah.
Who's the guy dressed up like Batman? I don't know.
But he's got weird.
Except, and it opens the doors for a lot of cool stories to be told.
Yeah, I feel like he's a controversial character. Like, some people might not like Captain America. I honestly don't like Captain America that much. I like Captain America in Civil War. There's
Xenophobic to a degree. I mean, but he points out I got reasons.
But not as much as Name.
He is owned by Fox.
Oh, interesting.
But, he's technically a fantastic actor. I forget which run it was, but it was the story was this weird awkward white dude was sent to be the ambassador for Wakanda, and he was kind of escorting T'Challa around. He didn't know he was the Black Panther, but he is sent to Wakanda to basically just try to break in. You know what? That's a good idea. I'm gonna go down and see what's up. So he goes down with a freaking shield and everything. He's walking through, meets Captain America face to face, and they have a hand-to-hand combat. And Captain America gets his ass
Marvel
with the shield.
Cap's shield is made out of it.
Yeah, even more important in the cinematic universe.
Martial artist.
Yeah.
He has all the strengths of his entire lineage. And
That's tough.
what was it? Was Namor?
Yeah, that was Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because they're just random ass people, and all these people are now supreme beings and deciding the fate.
We don't need them
Oh,
anymore.
I mean, he was drunk on power. It was just I can do whatever I want. They're basically reshaping the world.
Panther.
Well, we were talking about Spider-Man and.
Oh, yeah. Goes here and there. I'm trying to get away from that crap. It's ever since Batman versus Superman,
As I watched the rest of it,
no
no more after this.
Yeah.
No more.
So we probably don't have much to worry about.
What do you think, Jordan? I mean, so book, we know the history and stuff, but you're kind of coming from a more outsider perspective. What's your angle on it? What do you think?
Oh, I can't wait.
That's probably my favorite Marvel movie.
Yes.
Winter Soldier?
Seems perfect. I can't.
And that it really stands up with the.
What's you guys' least favorite Marvel movie?
The Ang Lee Hulk, I despised.
It's way too existential.
Yeah,
And
like,
on,
okay.
let's say starting with
right.
Iron Man.
Well, sure, but
from
it's
there.
all Marvel, like,
Yeah,
scene.
where Tony shows up.
Yeah,
that's right. Fantastic Four was.
But that's not
That's
Marvel's bad. There were just some that weren't nearly as good as the others. I mean, to me, Thor: Dark World.
It's like, what? Dark Elf?
Yeah,
that sounds.
Oh yeah, it was that I think is weak, but it's also one of my favorites. Is the original Captain America.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of
Yeah,
people don't like that, but those first two acts are
Yeah,
so
very,
worth
very.
watching. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, Captain America's hard for me to like. I mean, Tony. I guess you need to have that yin and yang, though, and
Yeah.
The 6'2" like Nazi poster boy. He's still endearing and
spent as a nerd with no muscles, couldn't get into the military despite wanting to.
real awkward.
He's there, and Captain America's like, "Oh, so we're taking orders from the Negro?"
perhaps he's always on the right side of things. He never does wrong.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair point. But no, you got Black Panther now. So.
I like Falcon so much, I just don't want them to.
I wouldn't have a lot of weight. Like, you killed Tony, you killed Cap.
Anyway,
Yeah, exactly.
Did that hurt? No. Okay.
Well, you could bring up, like,
Wes.
shots
Wow.
fired.
Yeah. I mean, I like the comic vision, but yeah, in the Marvel Cinematic, I don't know. It's a difficult character to portray. For one, I mean, like, they killed him. I'd be okay with it.
yeah. It's just, it has to be somebody that.
So, let's see. What do you think the sides are? We know, obviously, Cap is Tony.
Yeah.
Or he's with Tony at some point in the movie.
One person that I don't think we'll see that I was. The thing is, in the book, they don't search him out. He comes to them and he starts protecting them without them even knowing.
Yeah.
Tony, she's shield agent.
She's already government. Yeah.
She's government.
Trailers, at least, it looks like that.
Yeah, because they've shown.
Oh, man.
I did completely lost the thought. Completely lost the thought.
It's interesting to me that, I mean, just to, like, this movie is approaching basically the same subject matter, and, like, it looks like it's going to be
Because basically whatever side they're on
Right.
is going to win.
overpowered.
So it seems like in the last...
Yeah, he was in Ultron, and
When he went to the
he had that vision
club to
about
take a swim.
Ragnarok. So he.
Natalie Portman is in trouble for this.
Right.
Yeah, really, I know.
So
I read a rumor
My
that
Thor sense is
action movie. Like a road trip with the Hulk.
I would
The
watch
Hulk
that
and
all
Thor?
day.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, how does this play out? What do you guys think? Cap or Tony?
I mean,
Really, if you put them in a fight hand to hand,
Superman
Captain
would
America is going to beat Iron Man and Superman's going to beat...
fastest cat. And then like a combat situation.
Oh, that's true. Absolutely. Yeah, no.
But Wanda in the MCU is not nearly as powerful as. But in the comic book, she just has like
Oh my God.
weird
I
brain
just thought of
powers.
I don't know why they didn't do this.
One quick line.
You see all these people that look like Wolverine, that look like Colossus, but that's
Else on their team is like
kind of bruised.
mostly like second Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the book,
but-
his side is weaker and then
Yeah.
becomes stronger.
He's a capable dude. He's resourceful and trained, and Tony's a.
He's like a little more fly by the seat of his pants than.
But he's very big picture. Like he built freaking Skynet, like on a whim. But it's Skynet.
Getting back to the deaths. Like, what if they kill off...
Tony's secretary.
Right. And
You
Goliath.
That's his girlfriend.
Whatever.
I think they know that audiences are going to get pissed off.
Infinity
I think you
Stone.
give
Well,
them
there are
too
two
much credit.
Infinity Stones we haven't.
Charge. Like, he's completely in charge. And before I would have said,
Important part of the book.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, in Jordan's argument is they don't have those random. He's the what would you call him? Yellow Jacket.
Right.
Who was the bad guy and have a very limited supply of heroes to kill off at this point.
In the comic book, they had like 4.
It's these.
That was weird. But at the same time, they're bringing in new characters.
Yeah, because
Iron Man.
Robert Downey Jr. is not going to be Iron Man.
Sure.
I've seen the Doctor Strange trailers.
Amazing.
I'm so excited.
Good.
I mean,
Considered lesser known characters like Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man. Like you can
Like, yeah, he was the Hawkeye before.
Kinda, yeah.
yeah.
And then like, hey,
call
somebody go
Strange.
call Strange and see what we do
Yeah.
to beat this guy.
I
And then
love
he
that,
shows
though.
up and does his thing. Strange knowledge.
Yeah.
I watched the animated movie that Marvel made,
That was
of
good.
his origin, which was really good.
In the MCU, or is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes, it is.
So it's-
But it's still produced by and you can make
Yeah,
some money off of it.
and apparently there will be MCU characters in. Right. Yeah.
But so it is in the timeline of things.
I don't know anything about how they divvied up the intellectual property and stuff,
Mhm.
but
Like could go either way. Like somehow both Fox and Marvel were able.
It's lawyers having the nerdiest argument in the world, where it's like,
Avengers Annual number 10. So
but she's a mutant.
yeah, exactly. Well known
As
in the
Daredevil's
Daredevil
Arch. Yeah.
comic books. So like something about like the amount of properties
possible.
storyline could have something to do with it.
Wilson Fisk had a much stronger impact on Peter Parker's life. I object. That'd be amazing.
I'd like to be a fly on that one.
Yeah, really. No kidding.
I'll
Okay.
trade you Fisk for Vulture.
Yeah, so Marvel not recently, a couple years ago, they got back a few original characters. They got Blade, Punisher,
Right.
Ghost Rider,
Yeah.
Daredevil, and all those associated with those characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think they're really going to do anything with Blade or
I mean, I don't think they'll do anything in the movies
yeah?
anytime soon. But I think
Think
once-
about Blade as he hunts vampires, so first they have to establish vampires, and then
Well,
Blade. I mean,
we're about to establish a freaking magician god.
Yeah,
So-
and there's been nothing about magic in the MCU yet.
Okay.
And there's about to be.
yeah, mystic arts and all that.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, any final thoughts on this upcoming juggernaut of a film?
Can't wait.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Everything about it. I mean, like I'm expecting it to be, and I know this is a trap, but I'm expecting it to be the best movie yet.
The best Marvel movie yet?
Best Marvel movie yet.
Yeah, if it's
Best
not the
movie
best
ever!
best Marvel
No,
movie,
yeah.
I at least think it's going to be a turning point for where the movies go after.
I mean, like just from the trailers, it should be like top 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Are we going to do a follow-up? Like a vidcast reactions response? Is that-
Sure. Yeah, we'll figure that out. We're probably going to try to start integrating some video podcasts at a local comic shop. We'll do a little follow-up post seeing the movie. So yeah, look forward to that. So check out the White So Blue podcast on.
Oh, what about commentary? Do we want to do a commentary on a Captain America movie?
Yeah, we're thinking of. We're also
There's a
thinking of.
'79 made-for-TV movie. There's
The-
a 1990.
The 91 was pretty horrible, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Whichever one has the rubber ears, I think. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. It's friggin' bizarre. But they put they have the original Captain America costume with the helmet, well, not the helmet, the mask. It's not a helmet, and because he couldn't hear through friggin' thick rubber, they put fake ears on the side of his head. And it's just bizarre. So we'll probably do a commentary for one of those classic Captain America films. Classic in quotes. So this has been the Why So Blue podcast. I'm Shohan.
I'm Wes.
Gabriel.
James.
Jordan.
And throw that Captain America shield.